What's up, everybody? That time of the day, that time of the week, that time of the month.
It certainly is.
You're listening to the good,
The band.
the ugly. I'm Big Papa.
And I'm Jeff.
Just
Plain old vanilla Jeff. I said it before you could.
That's racist.
It is. I don't care.
Jesus Christ. I'm kidding.
We're starting off.
Kidding before everybody gets their fucking
I
panties
know.
in a twist.
Get your song in a knot.
That's it.
How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got going on?
Nothing.
Work good?
Yes.
Pick up your guitar, start playing it all this week?
Yeah.
You're such a liar.
Okay.
You're a liar.
Whatever.
I had a good rehearsal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got a
Ready for Friday.
Ready for Friday. Playing at Sharky's. Got substitute drummer. Sean.
Oh, good.
3-inch Sean.
3-inch Sean.
Yeah.
He's about that big.
Gridley Sean.
Gridley Sean.
Sean Page.
Sean Page.
Yeah.
Sean Fury.
Dude, what a great rehearsal. Anyways,
Anyhow.
we could digress.
Yeah.
Today, local
Yes.
guy, but, he's done so much.
He has.
And it's interesting because he's reached people I never thought, like, I've had people come and go, oh, you should have him on your show. And I said,
Right.
I've been trying.
Right.
His schedule's worse than ours.
Oh, great.
So I'm not going to spoil anything. I just want to bring him in. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Johnson. Not Harry Johnson.
No, just Gary.
Just Gary.
There he is.
Although, with that beard on his face,
Could be Harry
Could be
Johnson.
Harry
Yeah,
Johnson.
we're just not going to pay attention to this little part of it right here. That showed up like last week, so welcome.
Is that colored? Is this the first time you've got a little gray in there?
Oh yeah. It's always been a little bit, but it's definitely it's filing in. So
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Mine,
It's okay.
Mine went the other way this week somehow.
Huh.
Yeah, my beard, my hair, everything got darker for some reason.
Went backwards.
Yeah, I euthanized my hair.
Euthanized. There it is. There it is.
Shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Good big kick, man. Gotta look old.
Gotta look old.
Of course, I'll have a fucking do-rag or hat on.
Yeah.
Gary, thank you for doing the show. I
of course,
mean,
glad to be here.
so many people have seen you perform your solo stuff, and your history is a lot more than just like, hey, it's that guy I always see at the Turning Stone. I mean, you've played all over the world. I mean,
yeah. I've been really fortunate. My parents were musicians, so I started playing when I was 2 years old. I played my first gig in like '89. So I was like really young. And
Hold on a minute.
Wait a minute. How old were you in '89?
I would have been just about 5, almost 5 years old.
Yeah, '89.
89?
Yeah, I was 5 too.
Yeah.
Excuse me, no, almost 6. Excuse me. So
Yeah,
I
I was
was almost 6.
I was 6 too.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe 6'1".
All right.
Yeah.
That was my first paying gig was 1989. So it's just been because they were musicians, they knew everybody.
Yeah.
Pretty much everybody locally, and they'd say, "Hey, listen, my son can play. Can we, come do whatever?" So I'd come in and sit in with bands a couple nights a weekend, or a couple weekends a month, and then by the time I was 12, it was 2 nights a weekend at least every weekend. Still,
Yeah.
And then now, obviously, a lot more than that. But
I mean, has this been your main source of income your whole life, or?
Yes, there was a short amount of time that I caved to outside
OnlyFans?
pressure.
OnlyFans.
Yes, yeah. I was. I do this thing where I take my clothes off and the people pay me money to put them back on.
Yes.
I've been there. We'll tell that story again. I've mentioned it a couple
Yes,
times.
you have.
I have to tell the story again.
Sooner or later.
So, but we'll circle back. I'm going to write down stripper.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Story.
Stripper
Okay.
story. Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
You
so
felt
I
prey to it.
worked I had a corporate job for about 6 years, but when I started, right out of high school, I had an opportunity to go to Berkeley, Boston. Had a full ride, but it's just so expensive to live there that even if they're paying for the school, there's no way I could afford it. So
right.
I ended up connecting with Fran Cosmo from Boston when I was like 16. So I worked with him, and by the time I graduated, I realized there's a lot of opportunity there. So my parents supported it. I kind of started really nose to the grindstone, worked with him. We put a band together, had a showcase for some labels, did not do well. But it was awesome. I learned so much. And then we eventually went out on tour. So I started touring with him in 2003.
Okay.
And so for 6 years while touring with him, I worked at Bank in New York. and it was Office Space to a T. I mean, it literally is. That is a camera in my in my daily life. So, but it got to the point where, I was just really, this is 2007 and 8. By the time I was ready to leave, working remotely really wasn't a thing. So I was trying to do as much work as I could from home, and kind of I'd fly into Albany and then drive to my work, and then I'd work for 20 hours straight just to catch up on hours that I missed.
Right.
And here I am just getting yelled at by my boss for listening to music too loud. And I'm looking at my desktop background on my computer is 35,000 people screaming for us, 2 nights prior. So,
right.
so with the exception of those, this has been my bread and butter.
Well, that's the motivation right there.
Gary, we're going to need those TPS reports.
It's so accurate. And I still, I love the people that I worked with. They're awesome, but man, it was a nightmare to be there.
I think any corporate America, I mean, I worked for AT&T. So when you work for a Fortune 50 company and you have the cubicle farm of offices, they're all the same. I mean, it's really...
And I mean, but I will say, I taught my computer how to do my job my second year there. And so for about 5 years, for the first 3 years of it, nobody knew. I had the best productivity of anybody in the company. My boss saw me doing this and tried to get me fired, and her boss had the wisdom to say, hold on, we can use this. So they basically dissolved my department and gave everybody promotions. And then that's how I was able to kind of buy my time getting away with as much as I was being on the road, facing so much work, is because I had created this program that did a lot of people's jobs for them. So
that's awesome.
Cool.
Yep.
So when when are you going to create an AI program that just goes and plays the turning stone for you?
I think those are DJs.
I think those are DJs.
It's although I'm a DJ too, so I mean I say that it's a little bit self-deprecating, but yeah, it's I just hated the job, but I knew this is always it. Even then, I was on tour. I was playing locally. Dashboard Nixon started about them, which is a band I had in Utica with one of the guys from Gridley, Tim's brother Jeff, who's also Gridley. 3-inch Jeff, I'm calling him by the way now, even though he had nothing to do with 3-inch Fury. That's his name now. But yeah, so I was doing that all simultaneously. But 2008, I broke out on my own. Economy crashed, tanked, and I was in rough shape until I started touring colleges early 2010. And I've been doing that since. Obviously, things slowed down after COVID. The market completely changed. Yeah. But I did the Boston gig up until touring colleges. It was great. Or the Cosmo gig, excuse me. Yeah. Which was just, we started out doing half originals, half Boston. But what happened is when Guitar Hero and Rock Band came out for Xbox or whatever, PlayStation, all of a sudden kids loved 80s music again. And it just made this. And I will say I mean, when I was in high school, I'd say, I was recording with the lead singer from Boston last night. Who? Boston. More Than a Feeling, Amanda? I don't know who that is. Right. Now I have 10-year-old kids coming up to me asking me to play Feeling Satisfied. It's just crazy. So
it's awesome. Great song.
So that's when because when we started out, we were doing like showrooms, but in the middle of it, we started doing, it'd be like us in REO Speedwagon or us in Kansas. But by the end, it would be these just massive festivals of REO in Kansas. And Dennis Young from Styx was another guy who was out there, did a great show. It'd be 4 or 5 of us just for 40, 50,000 people. It was great, but it stopped feeling like real life to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I met Tim Moyer, actually. I'd known Tim Moyer I've known him forever. But I didn't know that he was a college agent, and he didn't know that I was a solo artist, because up till that time, I'd only ever done band shows. Mm-hmm. So he caught me one night and he goes, we got to get you in the college market. So I submitted the thing and it just blew up right away. And I just went crazy. And I loved it. It was great work, but it was exhausting. Mm-hmm. I beat myself up, beat my vehicles up. It was a lot of work. Mm-hmm. But once my daughters were born, which was 2015, 17, I kind of started to be a little more choosy about what I was doing. And then COVID happened, and, made the choice for all of us, really. So it's a different world, but it's been cool, because now, since that happened, I'm in more control of. There's a lot of good work in the tri-state area that I can still do, and then take the colleges here as they come. You know.
Mm-hmm. Were you involved with? I didn't know if your show had it, but did you do a lot of looping and stuff?
Yeah,
that was you were one of the first guys to start doing looping, right?
You know, I'm not a trendy person. You know, I'm not going to be the first to be like, oh, I knew Dave Matthews before he was famous. You know, I'm just not that right. You know, I saw Van Halen in '74, and that's not me. But I do know that my parents had a powered PA head. And when I was about 5 years old, I found out that if you turned the echo all the way up, you turned the feedback all the way up, it would loop for about 3 seconds, which was obviously not a lot of time. But if you played fast enough, you did a quick little jingle, it would keep repeating. And granted, it was analog. You know, this is the early 80s, or late 80s, excuse me. So it sounded like crap, but I was like, you can kind of play along with yourself. So eventually I got a little, this is probably 91. I got a little Boss multi-effects unit that had a ping pong delay.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are, musicians, so I know you understand this. Yeah. Ping pong delay. And what would happen is I had I didn't understand how cool this was back then, but I do now. I had a JCM 800 on one side of my room, and I had a Fender Twin on the other that people just let me borrow. So I had this pedal going out to both, and it would be 4-second delay on one side and 4-second delay on the other side. Well, I blew a tube on the Marshall and turned it off, and when I was playing, all of a sudden I realized I had 8 seconds of echo with a Twin, as long as I kept both plugged in. So all of a sudden I could do 8-second loops, and it was analog, but it was better. So I could, all of a sudden I'm doing like Sweet Home Alabama and, just these little jingly things stuck in the middle with you. Just, it was enough. But back then there wasn't a start stop. You just had to set the delay time and play to it. So I did that for ever and ever and ever. And then actually saw Justin Smithson from the band Showtime.
Mm-hmm.
He was out playing, and he was playing Neon by John Mayer. And all of a sudden he stopped playing the guitar, and it kept going. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I got a looper pedal. And it was the first time I'd ever seen a Line 6 DL4, which was really probably the first looper that everyone ran to. And that's when I realized, oh my God, they make something to actually do this. And then it was game over. Immediately needed a bigger vehicle to fit my paddleboard in, because just everything went.
There you go.
And I've never turned back. So,
well, that's how my sister, years ago, you were playing somewhere, and I don't know if you played. She went to Mansfield University for music, but she was supposed to go to Fredonia, and she'd seen you play, and she was like, "This guy does incredible shit on stage. It's like he's amazing." And then later in life, I'm like, "He's from Utica area. I mean, we know all the same people, you know?"
Yeah.
And it was amazing that she never taught. My sister doesn't talk about musicians.
No.
And she's a musician herself, but she doesn't, when you go out and you see so many people, very rarely do I come home like, dude.
Yeah. Showtime
did that for me.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
When they had Ryan Quinn singing.
Yes.
Oh my God, dude.
So I'm so glad that you just mentioned those two specifically, because they're part of what I'm about to say, and you have that frame of reference. So, first of all, thank you for saying that when you left, you came home like, oh my God, that was great, because I am aware that there are Ryan Quinns and Dave Kings out running around that are just, I first of all love those two like family, and there is no universe in which I could put enough hours in to be as good as either of them. Right. And I have no intention of that. And, you got guys like Justin in Showtime, who's a phenomenal guitar player, great, amazing singer, great songwriter, just all this talent. So I'm aware of what I can't do.
Right.
So I just really try to, I just think I look at music a certain way. I try to really compartmentalize it and come up with the little pieces to put together and try to make something, take a lot of little pieces and make it into something big.
Right.
So I just really try to do that, because I think that that's like my most way to be authentic, because it's hard to say you're authentic when I'm singing Barbie Girl, for a bunch of college students.
Right.
But I think as long as I'm kind of just delivering it in a certain way and trying to keep true to my personality, I think it kind of for some reason, thank God, or thank universe, it seems to work. So
yeah.
Do you have a favorite genre that you like to, or or I know you branch out on a bunch of stuff, but do you have a favorite one that you could say,
Listen to or to play?
Play.
Yeah, always play.
Yeah.
So that's really tough because it's not necessarily a genre, but kind of how the loop comes together.
Okay.
So, there are certain songs that kind of my most involved and probably most polished loop would be Hotel California, because I'm continuously playing. I mean, each show's different. So if I'm in a bar, everybody's dancing, I'm going to do a rhythm pass, a bass pass, a drum pass, and go. But if it's a theater and they're, I kind of I've bought enough of their interest to kind of be a little self-indulgent. The intro, the lead, and just building the loop might take 4 minutes. And then throughout the whole song, as I'm singing, I'm still recording more and more. So by the time the solo gets there, I've got all the acoustics, all the 12 strings, the basses, the drums. And then even in the end of the solo, the dual harmony part, the first time through I record that, and then the second time through I play the harmony. So by the time it's all said and done, it's just it's all on the table. So anything that has that kind of feeling. But then there's songs like "Met with You" by Modern English, which doesn't seem like it'd be that interesting, but it just really lends itself to, first of all, it's 2 chords. So it's easy to loop, but it's really dynamic, and it gives me a lot of chances to bring things in and out. So it's more about how it sounds than what the genre is.
Yeah.
So I tend to try not to do things my own way. I don't want to do like my own take on things, at least not in that capacity.
Well, 2 things. One, the journey of the song, being built in front of you is like going to Ichiban and watching one of those Japanese chefs, and you're going, he just wheeled all this shit out, and you watch him make this little masterpiece.
Yep.
The first time I saw looping done, Matt? You must know Max McKee.
I don't actually.
No? Okay. So Max down in Nashville now. He and his partner have a jingle company, but he's toured with Jason Aldean and all kinds of people. He's a phenomenal musician.
Is he originally local?
He's from Phoenix.
From Phoenix.
Yep. And when I owned the bar in Pennville, he came out, local guy,
Yeah.
And he was the first person I ever saw live do it. And I was, I've been a musician since I was 15 years old, playing out. And for me to just like sit in my bar, I just didn't care. I just sat there like mesmerized, like, how does he know where to go with this to have this unfold into this brilliant rendition of whatever, There's a whole different school of thinking on that. Mm-hmm. So I think watching it is part of the show for people who appreciate what you're doing.
It is such a treat for us when we can do that. I mean, if I know that they're listening, and I know I can really show. So the 2 things that I really try to do is I try to when I listen to a song, the last thing I'm listening to by far are the lyrics.
Right.
Okay.
I wish, which is not a good thing when you're a singer. It took me a long time to learn how to learn lyrics because I never cared about them. I'm more interested in what that little banjo, hand way left and turn way down, is doing. So I try to reveal little parts that maybe somebody hasn't heard. But I also start with the most vague parts of the songs in different pieces and try to save whatever the identifiable thing is until the very end.
Right.
So people are kind of playing Name That Tune.
Okay.
More or less. People have made drinking games out of it, but it allows, it really makes things interesting that way. And then it has this, come together kind of moment that I just absolutely love.
That would be a cool game.
Would.
Actually, if you put little light buzzers or something on everybody's table in a small environment, and you're like, whoever figures this out, write it down, hit your buzzer, and at the end of the song, if it is,
raise it up or
we've done it. We've done it in the college market. It was an absolute riot.
Oh yeah, that sounds like it'd be a blast.
Yeah,
it was like kind of It just there's and the most important thing about it is it's whatever you do in the beginning. You have to find something that can last through the whole song,
right?
And that's where an ear is good. Theory helps. Understanding music theory, which I didn't until. I was probably in high school. I mean, I knew how to play, but know what the hell anything was called.
Yeah.
Right.
Luckily, I had a phenomenal teacher and phenomenal human being who had a great ear and knew everything there was to know about music. Kind of was able to kind of show me how the worlds collided, and so it helps when you can find a central thing that can go through the song, because if I build a great loop for the verse section and then the chorus shows up and I got to turn it off and play something just me and a guitar, it's super anticlimactic, and vice versa. So if you can find something that can go through the whole thing, it really it creates some magic, which I think that's, again, the magic, the little tiny little part that's happening on top of the acoustic and the vocal, or on top of the piano and the vocal, is usually what I'm listening for.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
So do you do most of your stuff nowadays with the piano, or do you do it with?
So the loop show is almost exclusively guitar. I think twice I brought a piano out for it. It's pretty overwhelming, honestly. For even if only for the sake of my ADD,
Right.
Because I intentionally don't use a lot of the functionality that my pedals have. In fact, the way that I'm using them, they're not really meant to be used that way.
Right.
And I mounted a mixer, an X-Air mixer, on my pedal board, so they're all wired into each other and aux outs back in, so I can kind of get the mapping that I needed. But my vocal pedal has a looper too, and I could sync those by MIDI and do multi layers. But I actually only have a one channel looper. I don't have, they've sold loopers for 15 years that do 4 or 5 channels.
Right.
But my brain, you guys won't survive it. I'll play God only knows, and every accordion and flute. If there's a piano in front of me, every instrument is going to be there. So limitation is definitely my friend as far as that goes.
Yeah. So you're bad OCD, huh?
Oh, I mean,
the grass looks a little crooked behind you. I wasn't sure.
Don't you see me doing this? Trying to cover up
He's doing this.
Like I just kind of just.
Yeah, I saw it as I was kind of okay.
So,
what when you sit down for the set list on something like that, do you let that organically come about? If somebody yells out something, I've seen a guy out of Nashville
entirely by request.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yep, they're calling, and I did. Sorry, I just cut you off. I want to hear what you said.
I was going to say there's a guy from, I want to say he's Swedish, or he's something. I forget his name. It's like Daj or something like that. But
okay,
he plays on the streets of Nashville, and he'll all requests, got a little, hits the little drum, and he's, instead of just thumbing it on his guitar, he's got a little drum, and he's got a little this, and he's got a little that, and puts a little keyboard thing, a little tiny. And he builds this shit, and he's gone viral with his TikTok stuff and everything. But that's his media.
Yeah.
He doesn't care if he's in front of 30,000 people. He just wants to be social media famous.
Yeah, yep. It's my end game for this show would be a drum set, a bass rig, a guitar amp and pedals, an acoustic, and a piano, all piped into a multi-channel looper with mics at each station, so I can build an actual every piece, but on a stage, at a theater, to do it properly. And I have the ability to do that now. I'm looking at an electronic drum kit that I bought for that purpose, and my piano, and it's so daunting to actually start doing that, because one, it's a lot of labor. It's a lot of just setting the thing up and finding space for it. So it's a lot, but it is coming. It's just a matter of when. But
he's gonna get 4 songs out.
He's gonna be a one-man band.
Yeah. So for that, I'd have to have a set plan, things that I know I can do within a certain amount of time. So when I started touring colleges, the whole premise was it was by text request.
Right.
So, which my friends used to do when I was younger. They would just start texting me what songs they wanted to hear at the bar.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to come up and tell me. And one night they just gave out the phone to everybody in the bar. And at the next night, I'm like, you know what? That's kind of cool. And I realized I had everybody's phone number that was at my show. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to be back here next month. Come check it out. And all of a sudden the show was huge. So I'm like, this is kind of so every show that I ever played in the colleges, not only did I, meet all these people, but I had every single one of their phone numbers. So I have 40,000 contacts in my phone that I have first of all, I have no idea who they are, but I know what school they're from, what year I played there.
Okay.
And anytime I have something going on, I say, hey guys, I got this new song coming out. It just blasts out to everybody. And I do that maybe once a year because I don't want to be that guy, but it really helped. But now as there's a level of fearlessness that people have when they're just texting stuff anonymously that makes it less than desirable, I think. So now I want people to call stuff out. That just in between each song, I say, just, you don't even have to wait for me to ask, just yell stuff out. And that way I can kind of gauge what the whole room wants.
Right.
And I can direct them if they're kind of, because sometimes they come out and say, oh, can you play You've Got a Friend by James Taylor and Crash by Dave Matthews. And those are great songs, but no one is going to care about that tomorrow. They're like, can you believe that white guy that guitar played Wonderwall last night? Like, yeah, they all do. So I'd rather have it be, even if someone yells out, play the Spice Girls, and it's ridiculous, I'd rather have that because at least it's memorable that way.
I still want to hear him sing
I lost you guys.
Barbie Girl.
Oh.
I just realized my headphones came out, so if you guys were talking to me, I apologize.
We did for about 10 minutes.
He wants to hear you sing Barbie Girl.
No, I don't want to hear him sing, but I just want to see him doing it because
the thing about that is it was kind of when I met Tim, I did book my first showcase. It was called a roving showcase, which was at a convention center in Buffalo. There's these, stage showcases, and every couple hours. And while they're waiting, there's about a half-hour period, or at least a half-hour period, where there's 1,000 kids just standing outside this auditorium waiting to go in. Well, it's my job. I had 24 hours total. Any point in that, from midnight to midnight, I could just run around, so I could just set up and play for these kids. So that was my plan. Well, I got there and I had this whole mobile stage built, and they said, oh no, you can't do any of that. You can't even use batteries. It has to be shooting your guitar. You'll never meet anyone in your life less capable of doing just you and a guitar. But I had just moved to Virginia. I didn't have a job. I had over my head. I had bought a new townhouse in the mountains. So I mean, like I had no choice. So I literally just stood up on a table in the middle of all these kids. I said, what do you guys want to hear? And this little girl, at this time, 18-year-old college student who I'm still friends with, yells out, play Barbie Girl. I'm thinking, well, how the hell am I going to do this? But Tim Ware kind of looked at me and said, hey, are you taking requests or not? So I did it. And I stopped. I mean, I was pretty shy up to that point, but that went away pretty quick because it's they loved it. And I was like, you know what? If they're into that, and then they all go home and buy my CD, I'm okay with that. Because some people will work at Burger King so that they can play their originals at night. Well, I'll play covers so that I can, ship out my originals from the studio. So that's kind of how that worked. And but Barbie Girl required a lot of technology. There's, I'd go, octavers and all sorts of stuff on my voice. It was crazy, but it was pretty funny.
That is funny.
That is funny. Still want to hear it done.
I'd sing the whole song with an octave up, like straight. I tell them this is a little high for me, so it was also kind of turned it into a way to show them what each thing did, kind of how what some of these buttons do. So it became a really, because if you tell anywhere from 200 to 5,000 college students, I'll play anything you want to play, someone's yelling out Barbie Girl as loud as they can every time. So I just kind of got used to it.
I was going to ask, what's the most requested one that you just go, like, Freebird and Stairway to Heaven.
Or now is it Hotel California?
No.
So,
for us, it's like,
Yeah, I know.
Enter Sandman.
I know. Or Man in a Box, or, I could go on.
So I have no qualms. I'll play anybody who wants to hear Freebird, anybody who wants to hear Stairway, I'll play it for them. I won't even complain. I won't complain about American Pie. The only things that I don't love doing, like if somebody yells out Nickelback, and it's like, the funny thing is I play it off like I hate them, but really it's just so hard to do solo. I mean, it's all about production with them. So I mean, if I have to do it, I'll do like How You Remind Me, because I learned that when it was brand new, because it was like, this is great. Before we had 11 of the same songs, like, okay, I'm kind of tired of it.
Yeah.
But but what I don't do is I don't do much new country, which is not a very common thing for somebody that I'm
surprised to hear you say that, actually.
Exactly. So when I show up to a show and say, all right, what do you guys want to hear? Just let me know. First person, always Jelly Roll, Morgan Wallen, whatever. And I say, okay, well, here's the deal. this is not a common thing for a white guy with a beard and a guitar to say, but I don't play a lot of new country. Just like anything else goes. And they usually say why, and I tell them because guys like Justin Smithson from Showtime and Sean Smith, Big Sexy, and a lot of these guys have turned to almost exclusively doing that, and they do it really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd rather just not. So I usually get some friction at the beginning, and I'll play a Morgan Wallen song or a Luke Combs song, but I just once they realize that I'll be, even though I said that I'll play, Everybody Wants to Rule the World for them, or I'll do, just some 90s one-hit wonder that everybody's forgotten about. I can kind of derail that. And but I also, I know a ton of like pre-2010 country, like especially 90s stuff. So I can usually get away with doing some of the classic stuff. I just, for the first time in my life, new country just goes in and just doesn't stay. It just it's not intentional. I just it doesn't really. I don't love it, and I've gotten this far without doing it, so I'm gonna try to keep
going, man.
So when we go to a show,
I'm
gonna yell out Nickelback.
All right,
you're gonna yell out Jelly Roll
or Luke Combs, or something.
Just what?
Just good luck being the first, because I mean, you can have that on your to-do list when you leave that day. But
we'll yell it throughout the evening if it hasn't been played yet, and or we'll just say do it again. You know?
It's
how many times have you repeated a song?
So
in a night.
So there's kind of two ways to look at that. So when I play Turning Stone, I do piano shows.
Okay.
That's for a couple reasons. One, because there's already a piano there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and their PA, so I can sit down and do it. And it started out like, well, why am I going to bring all my stuff if theirs is there? But it really ended up working out to be a good fit for that room. So when I play one of those shows, I play Piano Man, Tiny Dancer, and Walking to Memphis, like in the first half hour. Because I'm definitely going to have to do it again.
Oh, okay.
Because, every 7th request, because people are constantly coming in and out.
Yeah.
So I'll at least do it once in the beginning and once in the end, sometimes in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
New Year's Eve, I literally put a sign up that says Piano Man every hour on the hour, because I play anywhere from 5 to 7 hours with no break.
Oh, wow.
And I'll get 700 requests for it. So that way they just know I'll do it every hour on the hour. But, that's just because it's a transient crowd. Now, if aside from that, I think a story worth telling was a drunk guy came in with his wife, and he wanted to hear Jeremy by Pearl Jam, and I had like 5 minutes left of my show. I'm like, I guess I'll close with Jeremy on the piano. I've never done it on the piano before, and I haven't sang it in 15 years, but let's do it. So I played it, and he put $100 in the bar. He goes, all right, play it again. So my show's over now, but he puts another $100 in the bar.
Oh.
Okay.
All right.
I played Jeremy 6 times that night.
Oh my God.
Gave me $600. I'm like, the crowd's looking around. I'm like, guys, you see this, right? Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, the show's over, so this is free to you. So that was kind of an exception to the rule.
Here's $600. Play Jeremy.
I would definitely have that guy's number programmed in my phone. I'll be there again.
Yep.
So I told Moyer about it. He goes, oh my God, the guy came down to the gig and he tipped us like $500. I'm like, how?
Right.
What is this guy? I mean, maybe I don't want to know where the money came from, but
it probably came from upstairs.
I'd say upstairs
at the craps table.
Right.
That happened to me the other night. A guy bet me $500 that I wouldn't play David Allen Coe. I'm like, dude, so then again, this is almost the end of my show, because again, I'm wearing I got a jacket on, and I'm dressed nicer, sitting at the piano, and the last end of that night was really more casual than usual, so it's kind of like, typical Billy Joel and Elton John. By the end of the night, usually it's Snoop Dogg and Guns N' Roses, but
he
just
didn't expect it. But he said he won $20,000 on poker, and he tipped me $500.
No shit.
Yep. So yeah.
That never happened to me at Rockies.
In fact, the funny part is I saw his post about that. That I'm like, what? I'm glad he told the story.
It's probably why you picked your guitar up again, prick.
Could be.
Well, he told me, he goes, you pick a price and I'll triple it. I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
He goes, how much do you want? He goes, you want $1,000? I'm like, I'm not going to give you a number. I feel it's wrong. He goes, here's $500. Okay.
That's when you say, so you wanted half a song.
Right.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. Here's the $1,000.
Yep.
Thanks.
Here's half of David. You don't get the Alan Cole part until you pay the rest of it.
You
get
And the funny thing was he was, he had all this money, so he was making a lot of female friends in the bar pretty quickly. He didn't listen to a word of it.
Right.
But I'm okay.
Yeah.
Money does that.
He got paid.
Yeah. Anytime anything ever go really, really, really wrong?
There's that grin.
I could fill your hour podcast to tell a story about this, but in 2022, I can't believe it's almost been 3 years. I went to Mexico to do a show. I'm not going to say the name of the band, but it was with Fran Cosmo, who was the guy from Boston that I had played with.
Yep.
Or one of the guys from Boston that I played with. It was also Johnny Edwards, who was the original replacement for Lou Graham and Foreigner. Mm-hmm. Phenomenal guy, phenomenal singer. Dave, I can't remember his name right now. Well, let me rephrase this. I've blocked a lot of this trip out, but the original lead singer from Survivor. Oh yeah, the original lead singer from the Romantics. One of the guys that sang with Quiet Riot, and a guy that sang with Santana. And I know there are a million of those, but he had a couple 80s hits, which I didn't know until the show. Mm-hmm. But so there's 6 lead singers. They were each doing 4 songs, and I was the keyboard player and guitar player for the whole night. So this was in Mexico. This is in Western Mexico, way out from the resorts. This was real Mexico, and I didn't know that. I saw the pictures of the beaches and the nice hotels, but when we got there, it was made pretty evident that we were in trouble. So, so we got into Mexico City. We walked. I had a pedometer. We walked for over 3 miles before Fran and I, because he's from Utica, so we flew together. We walked for over 3 miles before we found somebody that spoke English to tell us that we were in the wrong part of the airport. Barely caught our flight to go to the venue, or to the final airport, which was very, very small and very scary. Got to our hotel. We're like, okay, super late, but we got there. We were just exhausted. And the venue owner, or the promoter for the tour, came in. He goes, "Hey, listen, why don't we go check out the venue?" I'm like, "Okay, why not?" So we hop in a car with this guy, and now it's everybody's all together. And we just start driving through like back streets, real Mexico. Yeah. And I'm like, this isn't safe. But there was another van behind us with his sons and a bunch of other guys that were about 6'5" and 400 pounds. So I felt kind of safe, Yeah. But we get to this venue, and I realized that it is just massive. This is between 40 and 50,000 people. They've been, at this point, it's midnight there, and they've been drinking since 8 a.m. I'm like, so we go up on the stage, check everything out. I'm just looking around going, this is going to be insanity. So we get home. I'm like, all right, cool. Tomorrow's a new day, get some sleep. So wake up early for the show. The bus is supposed to pick us up at 8. It doesn't. It comes and picks us up at like 11. So we get there at 11. Nothing is turned on. No wires are run on stage. No monitors are done. We were supposed to have, the band met that day. We had to do, even just the 4 Foreigner songs and the 4 Boston songs, with 3-part harmonies and dual guitars and all the keyboards. We had to practice. So we were supposed to have a 5-hour rehearsal and then 45 minutes of sound check with each singer. And we got a total of about an hour and 10 minutes for all of that. Wow. And the whole time I didn't have any volume to my keyboard. So I didn't realize until we were fired up that none of my sounds had loaded. The keyboard was so old. It was a Yamaha Montage, which is their flagship, beautiful board. Didn't have the right firmware, so none of my sounds are there. So now I'm trying to play all these songs with not the songs that I spent, the sounds I spent 12 hours a day for 8 months perfecting.
He's playing with a hockey organ,
right?
I'm sorry about that too. That happened to me once too. In the middle of a 4-play long time, I all of a sudden we're just at the ballpark. I'm like, I hit a wrong button, but that one I recovered faster. So I'm fighting through all this. So we get through sound check, and granted, we've been standing in the Mexican sun for, at this point, it's been like 7 hours. So I'm burned to a crisp. So we get done with sound check at like 4. The gates just open and start flooding it. and these people are tanked. We're supposed to go on at like 8:00. So 8:00 comes around. They're like, you're going to go on at 9. Like, all right. 9:00 comes around. You're going to go on at 10. We end up going on at midnight there, which is 2:00 in my internal clock because I'm still on New York time.
Yeah.
So we go on at midnight. These people have been drinking since October. They just and we go out on stage. I'm like, this is gonna let's do this. And the show started out strong, and then the power went out. But none of us knew that all of our settings were off. So our monitors sounded one way. My keyboards didn't come out the front. It was just nobody could hear each other anymore. The drummer just was white as a ghost.
He's on a non-click track.
It was the most embarrassing thing I've ever been a part of in my life, and not one person noticed. They were so drunk. But I know that like 4 people died at that show, not like day of the show, at the show. And the show didn't stop. Like it was just like, and it wasn't like, oops, it was Mexico. So
wow.
So I was like, and then we ran out of fuel on the way home. We had to walk around Mexico City Airport. It was that's a whole other thing. So the whole trip was an absolute nightmare, and which is a hard thing to look back on a show playing with 6 of the greatest singers of all time, playing some of the greatest songs, and look at it as a negative experience. It was pretty rough.
I mean, in your heart, and when you're on your way there, knowing this is what you're about to do, you're like, I am the man.
Man,
I'm
check
playing
out where
with this
I am.
one and this one. I'm going to be doing with this. Is going to be 45. Holy shit! And then after you're driving home, going, that sucked. I never want to do this again.
I'm so glad this is over.
We ran out of gas between the small airport and Mexico City Airport, and when we were running low on fuel, so we flew into the small airport. I mean, wasn't like it was like a airstrip, unmanned, and the guy next to me goes, "Listen, I don't want to scare you, but there's a real good chance we're going to get boarded." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "There's nothing around here. This isn't an airport. This is an airstrip, and they all saw us land, and they know why we're here, and they know we're going to be here for a while. So you're probably not going to get hurt, but I'm telling you, we're probably going to get boarded." I'm like, "Oh, this is great." And
fantastic.
So we got back so late that our hotel had been rebooked, and we had to walk through Mexico City with 2 guitars, and I had laptops, and it was
holy cow,
rock star.
I don't think anything could ever get me back in Mexico again.
Wow. Well,
I don't blame you.
Mexico City is one of the biggest cities in the world.
Yeah, it was
understood. However,
no,
it was when you fly in the airport, you could see the shacks and the houses, and just it is unlike. I can't imagine anywhere in the world like that. I mean, if you imagine the most desolate village in Africa, that's what it was. Just as far as you could see, it was. I felt so fortunate and scared at the same time.
Wow. I think one of the boards I played on Call of Duty years ago was Mexico City. So,
well, you think about it. I mean, you're sitting there. You got, $20 in your pocket, and these people have zero.
Yeah, well, $20 in Mexico City is like
probably not going to get you.
You're rich.
I'm glad you said $20 because my neighbor gave me some really good advice. I had a $20 bill in my front pocket and a $100 bill in my back pocket. So when we finally got into Mexico City, we're on the way out. We're trying to figure out where we're going to get our hotel. I'm standing there with all the guitars while the guys are all in eating, also getting Montezuma's revenge. I didn't, thank God. But, this cop walked up to me and started giving me a hard time. And my friend said, "Listen, if they do it, just give him $20 to go away." So gave him $20. He went away. So,
wow.
When we were leaving Mexico City the following morning, I had to bribe the COVID test lady with a $100 bill because she wasn't going to let me leave the country because my tests were inconclusive.
Oh man.
But my daughter's birthdays were 2 and 4 days later, and they would have had me at a 5-day quarantine. So I wasn't missing their birthdays. So
dude,
holy
that's
cow.
one of the better stories
it
we've
really
had on
is.
this show.
It really is. I mean, there's been
I could go on for days. Like there was a lady, just to give you an idea how crazy the trip was. While we were sitting at the airport waiting for gas, I looked to my right, and there's a lady looking at a picture on her phone that might as well have been me, bawling her eyes out. And I realized it's this Mexican lady whose son died in a car accident the year before. And you wouldn't tell this guy from me in a picture. I mean,
Really?
I've never been so
Wow.
scared in my life. She actually found me on Facebook and wrote me this long message. And like, I actually still talk to her every once in a while, but she was like, I feel like you were sent here by my son. I'm like, what else can happen on this trip? How crazy can this trip get? But
Yeah. Holy
actually,
shit.
I've never told, I think my wife's the only person that knows that story.
Wow. Well, now all
Oh,
13
all
people
13
that listen
people.
to this show just heard that. So,
Yep.
so I know one of them's my mom. So there you go, Mom.
I'm out.
I say one of them's him, one of them's her, and one of them's my wife. So
That's right. There you go.
we're all good.
Um,
Holy cow.
Geez, I can't imagine being in a small plane and then saying this better not be my Skinner moment. This is
The only other scary moment that I can remember is Jason.
Jason
Bittner.
Bittner when because their tour bus broke down in the middle of like
Some ungodly place.
it was in it was like near the Ukraine or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. Something
And,
weird like that.
Yeah,
but-
they were like, we're going to rob you. And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not leaving this. They were in a diner or something. He's like, we're not leaving. I'll
We're not
sit here
leaving.
all night. We're
Yep.
not going anywhere, So, yeah.
Again, this is how crazy the trip is that I can forget this. Friend Cosmo and I ended up getting pulled into a back room at Mexico City Airport because they thought our guitar cases were full of guns, and they weren't like holding on to their M6, their automatic rifles. They were ready to go. I mean, just at
Oh
us.
my
I'm
God.
like, we're gonna die.
Yeah.
And they kept going key. I'm like, they're not locked. They're not locked. They didn't speak English. They
Right.
didn't care. So I gestured like, I'll open it. They didn't like that. So, yeah, it was, I mean, it was just one thing after another.
Oh,
yeah, it was
man.
So
So
if you get booked in Mexico City, you're not going.
you're not going.
and I didn't get paid for like 7 months after the show.
Holy cow.
I still haven't gotten all of it. I'm still owed like a little bit for expenses that I'll never see. But I told my wife, I said Paul McCartney could invite me to play with him at the Pope's house in Mexico City, and I wouldn't. There's
Forget it.
nothing. I mean, I don't think there's anything that can get me there. Just
Yeah,
we're trying to
forget
plan
it.
a vacation. I'm like, it's not going to be in Mexico. I'm sorry. Just not
Sorry,
doing it.
sorry, Paul.
Yeah.
Can't go there.
Where's
Sorry, sir.
where's your favorite place you've ever played? Most memorable?
Mexico City.
Shut up. You say the Turning Stone, I'm going to drive to your house and
I know.
beat you with a dead fish.
So there's two answers to that. I played the Vinoy Park in St. Petersburg in 2009 with Fran from Boston and Barry Gaudreau, who's the original guitar player from Boston. He's the one that played the intro solo on Long Time.
Yeah.
The intro to Don't Look Back. So Tom Scholz did most of it, but Barry was like the better of the two guitar players.
I agree.
Really, even though, granted, I'm not you can't take anything from Tom Scholz.
No.
He's a genius,
God,
litigious genius.
Yeah.
But so we played. It was us in Kansas, and it was like November on the bay. Vinoy Park is right. Our back right behind us was the bay. It was like 85 degrees, a little bit of wind. It was Rib Fest, so the wind was full of like barbecue.
Yeah.
So the band sounded phenomenal. It was just the perfect night. 15,000 people. It just the sweetest crowd, and it was just the perfect moment, really. That was awesome. And we actually the next day we were able to kind of go and wander around a little bit and kind of enjoy it. It was just remarkable. And the other one is Taste of Minnesota, was us in REO Speedwagon, and it was just 4th of July on the Mississippi. They had fireworks and riverboats, and it was just amazing, just incredible night. So just one of those nights where everything sounded and felt so good, and to hear 35,000 people singing More Than a Feeling at you is just, man, I can't explain it in words. So it's really just one of those, as it was happening, I was smart enough to kind of step back for a second and like look at like, make sure that you remember this, because this is like my dream when I was a child. I was a huge Boston fan growing up, was to like meet Fran Cosmo. So the fact that I was playing with him in front of them at people was just
That's awesome.
35,000. You know, what we'd have to do? We'd have to buy a couple loopers and loop our crowd 1,000 times.
1,000 times.
Yeah. We'd have it.
Keep going.
1,001.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it. I just can't. I mean, and see, this is what kills me, because Gary, and everybody says the same thing. You've done such great things, but you're still one of the most down to earth, humble guys we have in this area.
Yep.
And you've been very successful, and I don't think I'm so glad that you did the show, because I appreciate it. I think people need to realize it's more than motif.
Yeah.
You've done a lot more shit than keep piano night at the Turning Stone, and it's. I think people should realize and identify all that you've done, and where we have people in our own corral of friends that have never touched anything even remotely close to doing that, yet have egos that could fill Mexico City Airport. And you're like,
I can think
let's
of one.
Put this. I could too. Let's put this in perspective.
I have a hard time with that, because I worked with some real prima donnas, and I remember watching a guy just absolutely berate the promoter's daughter, who was just running food and drinks around like the dressing rooms, screaming at her because they had brought Fiji water and not Voss water, like the contract said.
Oh, wow.
And
water's water.
I'm like, dude, I watch you drink tap water at the hotel. Like, let's just go do the show. Like, I don't understand. So I have a hard time with that. And again, especially considering that, again, there's Ryan Quinns and Dave Kings running around that are just remarkably world-class talents. I just, I knew from a really young age, this is what I wanted to do. And I just do my absolute best to make sure that I'm doing, there's no reason why I should have been able to start playing at that young age. This is kind of handed to me. So I kind of treat it as a responsibility to make sure that I'm using it as much as possible, but also being super thankful that I just am able to do this, because at the end of the day, I'm a dad. That is 99.9% of my job, my life, is my kids.
Yeah.
And this is just this is all icing on the every bit of that, any story I've told so far post 2015, that's all icing on the cake now. That's just so if I get to play music for anybody and they enjoy it, man, I'm so lucky.
Did you meet your wife because of music?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
This is the most
she was the one that shouted out,
Barbie girl,
Nickelback.
No, actually, that's the most cliche thing ever. I was playing Harpoon Eddies, and she was the hostess.
Okay.
The musician and the young, 20-year-old hostess. It's but the funny thing is we had crossed paths in more ways than I can count for our entire lives, but never met. I mean, I lived with someone she was visiting frequently, but I'd never met her. I knew her parents, I knew her aunts and uncles and her sisters. I'd been to her house to visit, with a friend to visit her sister, and I just had never met her. So the universe was smart to keep us apart, I think, because I was, we were a lot different when we were younger. But so we met through music. She requested "Name" by Goo Goo Dolls, which is one of my favorite songs. I'm like,
it is.
This is this is a good one. This is but we are both just out of fresh relationships, did not want to get in a relationship. We were set. I was touring. I was single. I'm like, life is great. And I'm like, I'm going to marry this girl. I know it. But I'm obviously happy I did.
That's awesome.
That is good.
Are you still doing the big stuff, or you just, how often does that come up?
I do fly dates here and there. I feel bad. I just got a call to go do a cruise in August. It's like 5 days. It's just a bunch of bands. It's Mickey Thomas from Starship and Steve Augeri from Journey and all these guys and Fran. But unfortunately I DJ weddings in the summertime. In the summer, I started doing that when I was touring colleges, because the schedules were opposite. College gets out, weddings go crazy. It kind of kept me busy without having to, I was kind of overplaying bars for a while. I needed to stop. I'd been doing it too long, but I love it again, but I really couldn't do it anymore. So, so anyway, so I got this call to do this cruise, all expenses paid, as one show, just play one 45-minute show. Wow. And I could have brought my wife and kids, but I had a wedding, so I couldn't do it. But I do, so I've got a college show. I've got a college show on Friday I've got to do. And, I'll usually two or so a year, I'll do a fly date and try to just keep up with it, because I do love doing it. It's just, it's hard to leave my kids, but at the same time, they're going to be 8 and 10 next month, so they're getting to the age where they'll be
roadies.
They'll be
roadies.
Yeah,
roadies.
Well,
yeah.
Well, they already love helping. So, but
no, they're going to loop for him.
Yeah.
They're both insanely talented too. So that's
good.
They'll have me out of a job soon.
So they play.
Okay.
So you've taught them to be musicians.
It's that's they both started piano lessons when they were younger, and the woman who taught piano, she goes, why she goes, you're a better piano player than me, why aren't you teaching them? I said, because it's hard to sit in your living room with your dad, and your TV is right behind them, and your sisters run around, so I want them to go sit and learn. So they really enjoy it. They're not virtuosos. They don't play 100 things. I don't push on them, but whatever they try, they learn. Whatever I show them, they remember.
Right.
My older daughter's doing violin, and she's just really just natural at it. And they both put headphones on and play the drums in here, and they love it. So it just they're not virtuosos. I don't want them to be at this age. I want them. They're just finding it little by little, but everything they do is just. I could tell it's really natural. They both have really nice, really great singing voices, the pitch and tone and timing. So it's all going to come for them. But, everybody always asked me when I was younger, like, oh, when I was first found out they were pregnant or my wife was pregnant. Well, what if they're not musicians? Great.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Then they'll be happy.
Perfect.
I want them to love music, but I don't want this life for them. I mean, and I'm one of the lucky ones, but I just know how hard it can be.
Yeah.
And, but a complete aside, but I know you asked and appreciate this. I actually called my father yesterday. I said, Dad, I want to say what I'm doing because I think I'd like you to do the same thing for me, which is I started to make a Spotify playlist. Basically, it's like a musical will. Like if I go, these are the songs I need you guys to know. Like, so I'm talking like classics. Stand By Me and, God Only Knows and Let It Be. And just like these songs cannot fall off the earth. Like you, as my kids, you have to know these songs. Like you Build Me Up Buttercup, like just these are essential to like music history. So like I'm like, so Dad, I'm like, if you hear a song, you just think of it like that's one of my, write it down because I want it, because I'm sure there's stuff that he come up with that I wouldn't think of, but I think it's important that which I mean, granted, it's all when I was a kid, the least cool thing you could do would be to like the Beatles. You had to like all new stuff, but now it's kids love everything. So I just try to consciously keep them not like, okay, girls, we're gonna listen to the Beach Boys now, but it'll come on Spotify, and I just kind of notice them picking up more and more on it. I just want it to be like in their universe, so they are at least aware that it's out there.
That's cool.
Nicki Minaj, no dessert for you.
That's right.
Yes, no, that's it. You're out.
Sorry, none for you.
My daughter, when she was little, she was starting to get into like the heavier stuff, only because that's what I listen to. And I'd look in the rearview mirror and I'd see her in her car seat, and she'd be going like this, and I'd be like, yeah, I hear her going back. What? I was like, yes. But now she's like all about country. She just got back from Nashville. I mean, she loved, and I told her, she goes, you don't like that music. I said, I don't particularly like a lot of country, but I'm glad that you appreciate it. Yeah. And don't just follow suit. But now everybody likes country. A lot of these young kids love country. I don't know if it's because they like the flannel. I appreciate it as an art form. Like, I mean, the production is unbeatable, basically. It's just, but I think knowing that I hear some of these songs, they're so clever and well written, and that seems so attractive until I think about 6 people in a 5x8 room just working, because if they don't get their song done by 5 o'clock, they're off the label's roster. They got a deadline to make. So it's just painfully clever and painfully cliche. It's so good, but it's just painfully perfect. And like, I'm not a purist by any means. It's just, I know that struggle. I think I know that's where it comes from. I just tend to not stick. But then there's people that I hear and I'm like, wow, this is phenomenal. Like I can say like, guys like Zach Top. I don't know if you saw he played the Grand Ole Opry. I came up on my Facebook. Mm-hmm. He's like a reincarnate Alan Jackson. The kid's phenomenal. I mean, I couldn't hum you one of his songs, but I was like, this kid's got talent. Like Noah Khan. There's so much talent out there. Like there are guys that are playing like actual music. Right. It doesn't light me up inside. We just had Taj Farrant on the show, and Taj was the young blues player who started at 8
Yeah.
got signed to Gibson back around 8 years old, and I mean, just was telling us his favorite place to play is like Kane's Theater. You know? I mean, and he's played with Santana. He's played with he's second place for Australia's Got Talent.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
And but he was on Australia's Got Talent at like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
And just crushed it. And watching this kid's career progress because social media has helped.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the most down to earth, grounded, humble. His parents have brought him up. They're on tour with him. Their manager. They're his father's his guitar tech, his bus driver. They do it all, but they're not like your typical Britney Spears parents that are like, bring more money, and they're like, hey, this is you. That. You can do what you want. We're going to help guide you. He started.
In fact, his sister plays drums with him.
Yeah, now she's playing keyboard. Because she wants to be on stage with him, and he's got a great drummer. So, I mean, it's a family thing.
It's a family thing.
That's awesome.
I love seeing that.
I choose when I work with people, like for example, when I did my solo records, I had I had met the bass player or the drummer, my drummer, who had played with Three Doors Down or Seether, and then Breaking Benjamin, and then he did like tour support for a couple shows for Three Doors Down. But the dude's resume is phenomenal. But when he sat down in the room, the temperature didn't change at all. It's just like he's just a dude, a great guy.
Yes,
a new dad. So I connected with him. We recorded drums, and then I got home and I said, you know what? These drums sound too good. I need to hire a bass player. So I ended up hooking up with a bass player from the Fray, who again was just a dude. If he was sitting next to me, again, you wouldn't know he's just been on the Today Show and just done all this stuff, and he's just such a sweetheart of a guy. And I just refuse to not work with people like that. I just I'm so attracted to that. And I try to keep those relationships solid because there's a lot of value in those people, because there's a lot of people that aren't.
It's come full circle on this, because earlier we mentioned Ryan Quinn.
Yeah.
Another phenomenal artist, down to earth. Guys we've had on the show, Ben Morrow. Oh, super. I mean, played with Lionel Richie, plays with Cher now.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I can't forget this. Have you ever seen Ryan's Say Hello to Heaven video?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Chills, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I liked. I followed him when he was on.
The Voice.
When he was on The Voice.
Yeah. I didn't know him back then. I met him right after.
I followed him on that, and then I was like, "Holy shit, this guy's from our backyard!" And then next thing I know, the guys from Gridley are going, lives right here. He's good friends with Tim. Tim manages him. I'm like, get the frick out.
Yep.
Had him on the show on another podcast I used to do, and then we brought him on. He's so down to earth.
Yep.
But people,
I remember when I found out he was going to be on the show, I'm like, all right, great. I saw a picture of him, like this good-looking kid from Clinton, rich kid from Clinton, phenomenal singer. Then Tim called me. He goes, "Hey, Ryan's doing a CD. We want you to come in and help produce." I'm like, "Okay." And in my mind, I'm like, "This kid's going to be an asshole. I know it. Like, I'm just waiting for it." And the moment I met him, I'm like, I apologize. I'm like, "Dude, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Why?" I'm like, "Because I thought you were going to be a prick."
Yeah.
I'm like, he's the sweetest. Like, I love him. I
genuine.
love him more as a human being.
Just a genuine soul.
Yeah. Oh, the best. Like, and again, those are the people that I have all the time in the world for that. That's as soon as, and you know what I realized too is when you're that good and you don't have an attitude. I've noticed on tour, like Dennis DeYoung, for example, the guy that's saying Mr. Roboto and Babe, he never had an attitude, but like, this isn't him. I'm not saying this is him, but for example, a guy like him, they never had the attitude, but like his keyboard player, who's like a guy like me, like just a hired hand, who shows in with the shades and the leather jacket and like walks in like, "Take my bag." Like, they're the ones that are all entitled and cool. I'm like, dude, do you understand that guy sing and fucking sticks, and like he doesn't have an attitude. So like maybe we can just
tone it down.
Take it down a notch. Like, I know you played third backup guitar on Travis Tritt's second world tour, but like that's just not whatever. So I just try to keep. And I kept that in mind for myself too. Like, I knew what my place was, all those shows. I know I'm just a hired guy. I got to go home and mow my lawn. Like this is not.
Yeah.
They're not screaming my name. So when you got guys like Ryan, that he could have an attitude, and I still love the guy, but
yeah, no. I've noticed that the people that we've connected with the best on the show are the most down to earth.
Yes.
When we mention even local guys like Dave King, you can't wipe a smile off of Dave's face.
No.
Yep.
And no matter how horrible of a night he may be having,
it doesn't matter.
When he puts his 2 feet, hit that stage, smiles on his face, and he's sat in for us when we couldn't have, if we missing our guitar player, and I'd call him, can you do me a favor? And he's like, yeah, what do you need? I'm like, need a guitar player for tonight. He's like, send me your set list. And I go, do you know what all? He goes, yeah, there's 2 of them on there I don't know, but I'll learn them.
Yep.
I'm like, well, we can take them off of there.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'll learn it.
Yeah.
And he'd learn the song from his house to the venue.
He listened to it, never played a note of it.
And just like, but those are the guys.
My favorite Dave King thing is at the end of the day, he'll be like, yeah, 4 wrong. I played 4 wrong notes tonight. Like, and that wasn't like, I only played 4. He's like, yeah, I got 4 wrong notes tonight. Like, he's like, he knew which ones they were, and they will not be wrong the next time. Like, just like, that's just how he is.
But you don't mind being around people like him because
no, not at all.
He's got, and we keep asking him to do the show, and he's like, I don't want to sound stupid. I may say something dumb. I might get in trouble if I say something. I'm like, Dave,
tell him I did it. He'll know that I covered all the stupid dumb stuff, and he's fine.
Dave, we've had fart jokes from Joey Allen from Warrant.
Yeah.
I mean you can't fuck up on this show. I mean, this is
no,
just good people. So, and you're right up there with everybody. And believe me, it's something that we definitely we have certain people that we invite back quite often.
Yeah.
Rev Jones, can come on the show anytime
he wants,
just because he's a cool freaking dude.
Yeah.
And you're in the same category. I'd love to have you back. I mean, we just blew through an hour like that.
I mean, if you want to jump on, if we got a guest that you know about, and you want to jump on, jump on.
Yeah, well,
I appreciate it.
Tatora,
we haven't mentioned him in a while.
Tatora was like a bad penny. Every time we had a guest on, it was like, boom, because we do it at the same time. Usually we record, same bridge, same everything, and all of a sudden, whoop, he'd pop on. I'm like, well, hey now, and he's like, I knew he was going to be on. So,
I just want to say hello.
Yeah,
right.
Whatever.
So,
oh man.
What have you got going on? So we can now. This will come out in like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So I'll be at Motif at Turning Stone on the 12th of April. So that's I don't, it's crazy. I don't really do a ton of local stuff.
But this goes out everywhere. It's on the internet.
All right, so
it's on the interwebs.
Let's just double check here. But if you are in the Syracuse area, a place I love playing is Brian's Landing. I'll be there on April 4th.
Oh, in Jamesville.
I love that place. It's phenomenal. They first of all, the food is beyond words. They're so good, but the staff is great, and the people just there. They love music. They're having a great time.
They used to be just your average backyard diner.
Yeah, have you been there?
I work right around the corner from there, actually.
Nice. Yeah, so they did such a great job there. So I've got I'm actually there on the 4th and 25th of April, so got a couple there. But it's everything is gjsolo.com, Gary Johnson solo, gjsolo.com. And I don't post my dates to the website, which I know is a weird thing to say, but I do post them on my Facebook, which is linked there. So
cool.
But if I post my dates on my website all at once, people get confused, and it's just easier to kind of go a couple weeks at a time.
Yeah, we get it. You know what? We've got a website too, and I can't remember the last time I updated it, so I'm trying to take down pertinent date stuff on there and just content that points to all the other shit.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, I just keep the Facebook updated, and it's easier that way because people would be like, "Oh, where are you playing July 12th? What time is that?" It's like let's focus on this right now and keep the next 3-4 weeks in check. And that's seems great for me.
Lastly, we do have to you have to give a shout out to your wife's TikTok too.
Yeah.
So
tell everybody what that's about.
Yeah, so she does TikTok live. She talks about anything and everything really. She just a lot of the time it's about just a good portion of TikTok Live has become single moms, or not single moms, stay-at-home moms. Big difference. We're still married. That just kind of
I was going to say, if she talks on single moms,
I know.
could you mention Big Papa from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
Yeah. So she does talks, about her business. She's an esthetician, talks about business, and she also talks a lot about mental health. So it's just Lauren Ann is her name on TikTok. But again, I have that link to my Facebook as well. Actually.
There you go.
Cool.
See?
My website as well.
That's
Want
awesome.
to make sure we give a plug out for Lauren
Yeah, I
Ann
appreciate it.
on TikTok Live. And creepers, stay away.
Stay away.
Don't
They'll
go
find her. Yeah, she's a but it's fine.
That's okay.
She can handle them.
She's got you, bro. It's all good.
She does.
Gary, thank you so much for being on the
My
show.
pleasure, guys. I appreciate it.
Don't go anywhere. We're gonna we'll do our rollout here, and then we'll come right back to you. But there you go.
Yeah.
Let's hit the music here. No, let's not. We can't forget to mention Ultimate Ears. Our Ultimate Ears, the Ultimate
right.
Ears, Ultimate Ears. Did I
Ultimate
mention
Ears.
Ultimate Ears.
You may have said Ultimate Ears.
It's the Ultimate Ears Studio.
It is.
I had a good friend of mine bought some. He's down in the Carolinas, and he forgot that I was affiliated with Ultimate Ears, and then he's
I
like,
think I know who you're talking about.
he's like, shit. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
could have got a big discount there, Bubba.
It's all good.
Anyways,
Have you guys ever tried Ultimate Ears?
Maybe.
you've been listening to the Good,
The Band.
the Ugly. I'm Big Papa.
And I'm Jeff, and
That's
that's
Gary Johnson. We want to thank our sponsors, obviously, DJ Life's the Beach.
Uncle Jimmy's Live Local Music,
Yeah, Print Shop Underground,
Snarky Productions, and
Hogwash.
yep,
We want to mention
we want to mention Blackened Heart Tattoo.
Blackened Heart Tattoo. If you need a good tattoo, call our friends at Blackened Heart.
Yep.
Because I want another one soon. And of course, we will end it off by mentioning Ultimate Ears
Yes, because you can hear your own tears.
with the Ultimate Ears. Remember what we always say?
Be kind to each other.
Don't be dicks. Peace, everybody. Don't do it.
Recording stopped.
Such a tool.
Not yet.